So, welcome to Whispers from the Hearth. We're grateful that you are all here to attend and hear this beautiful guest that we brought in today. Sherry Edwards is a scientist with 30 years of experience in bioacoustics. Her research centers on voice diagnostics and sound healing. She has worked with the National Institute of Health, MIT, and the Mayo Clinic with her efforts to promote self-health. Sherry has the ability to hear autoacoustic emissions, and she uses computerized systems to alleviate pain and diseases like migraines and cancer. She offers her free classes and software for sound health, including tools for detecting truth and treating conditions like post-traumatic stress syndrome and allergies. Sherry brings forward the potential of sound therapy for space travel and its global applications. Welcome, welcome, Sherry, and welcome, Kathy Slatt, my co-host.
It's an honor to be here.
We're highly appreciative that you took the time to spend and donate all of your wisdom and knowledge to this beautiful audience. So I'm just going to go through, I've got lots of good questions for you, and I'm just going to start with the questions, okay?
Okay.
Yay. So you've spent over 30 years in the field of bioacoustics. Can you take us back to the moment you first realized that sound held the key to healing?
Wait, what a tremendous question. I realized things afterwards. I grew up in Appalachia. We lived in an old corn crib. We had no electricity, no running water, no inside bathroom. I didn't know I was different. Sorry. I didn't know other people couldn't hear the way I heard. And I remember one day they were talking and they I said, "Well, Aunt Georgie said such and such," and Georgie turned around and said, "I didn't say it. I just thought it, you little witch." But I didn't know that other people couldn't pick up those sounds. And so there's a sound coming out of your ear, we learned later, that's called an otoacoustic emission, and it gives people information about what's going on. It's not actually from the ear, I think it's from the brain. And the voice ends up being a holographic representation of all that you are. But there's one incident that really solidly said to me, you need to take this beyond your own family. You need to take this to the public. And that was an incident that happened with my daughter. We were out in the boondocks at an old swimming hole, and they were swinging out on this Tarzan ring and diving into the water. But she was kind of overweight, and she fell, and it was about 20 feet or so, and she fell on her knees in shallow water. And when I got to her, her bottom leg was hanging off to one side, bottom of her right leg. And I thought, I'm going to watch my daughter die because she's going to bleed to death right here. We're a half hour from help. It was before cell phones. I sent somebody for help, and I knelt down beside her between her leg and her head so she wouldn't see what was going on. And there was a kid there with this red shirt on, and I asked him for the shirt, and I wrapped it tight around her knee. And I was just in a state of shock. And I started doing the sounds that I'd always heard from people, and it helped them take away their migraines. It was just something flowing through me. Well, the ambulance finally got there, and they put her in this wire basket kind of thing, and they walked her, swam her across this river to the ambulance. And she's in the ambulance. I'm behind her in my car, and I'm still doing my sound. I just think I'm in total shock. And I finally got to the hospital after them, and the nurses there knew me because I had been doing laying on hands healing courses and that kind of thing for the university. And they said, "It's okay, Sherry, you can just let go now," because I was still doing the sounds. and sort of slid against the wall and backed down. And at that moment, from the back room, she started screaming, and it had torn the meat on her lower leg away from the bone, and they were washing it out. Oh, she had all kinds of sand and garbage in there. And this is an emotional kind of thing for me to talk about. But I realized at that point, if we could put this in some kind of handheld device so nobody ever had to watch their kid die, I needed to take this to the public. And so I talked to my husband about it, and we committed then to get this information to the public. And I think that was the turning point from personal, because I was looking for why I heard sounds from people and why I could stop migraines with sound. And I didn't have any musical talent, it was just tones. And at that point, that's when I decided this belongs to the public and I want to commit my life to that. I thought about it afterwards and I got more upset then than I did while it was happening because I was just sort of on an automatic pilot.
For sure.
So
Bless your heart. Well, sending you a hug because that's about as serious a trauma as somebody can witness. And I'm grateful that you were there with her to support her and help her get through this level of healing that was so acute. Wow. Wow. Oh,
I just think it was God stuff. It was frequencies, it was sound just coming through. It was just automatic. And I think I've learned that we all have that talent. We just forgot.
oh,
And
for
I'd
sure.
like to help bring it back.
Yay. Yay. And thank you. Thank you for every way that you are honoring what's coming through you and acknowledging that. So, as both a scientist and an elder, how has your relationship to sound evolved over the decades?
It has evolved from just me doing it for people or lay on hands healing to a total computerized system that we have set up for the public as a workstation that they can go to and give us their voice and say, I want to be tested against us arthritis. And the computer will test them and say, this is what's going on with your voice, because we've proven that the voice, the frequencies of the voice, are a holographic representation of all that you are. And we want to share that with the public. We want to teach it to the public. Like we talked beforehand, next year I'm 80. So I want to find a way to leave this to the public. So we are doing free classes, free vocal analysis, free articles. We want the people to have this. We don't want companies to have it that are going to keep it from the people or make it so expensive nobody can use it. This belongs to the people. We want to see that the people have it.
And this speaks to you, Kathy, because you really have that same ideology.
This is incredible, and I can't wait to learn more about. In fact, I just had a session before this with a woman who felt her life was falling apart, and I found myself telling her to go home and hum. And that was new for me. So I must have been picking up on this because I didn't realize our subject matter. I can't wait to see. I do work with computers. I can't wait to see what you're doing.
And how you'll be able to incorporate it.
Well, we're already equipped. God has equipped us, and that's a great part of it right there. And probably the biggest part is what we can do with sound.
But we don't trust it, but we would trust a computer. So we've created the computer programs for people that we're giving away. And we're looking at the workstation. So if people don't want to do the work, we can do it for them. We can teach them to do it for their community themselves. They can make their own sound and not have to have any kind of instrument. We just want to teach people how to bring back that talent of recognizing that we have a signature sound.
Wow. Where are you, Sherry?
In Ohio,
Mm.
Southern
Ah,
Ohio. But we do most everything on the internet, so people don't have to
yes.
come to us.
Well, my next step is to get for us to get monthly to weekly meetings together with elders and start bringing elders together. So with your permission, when I get that really going, I would love to have you incorporate this into it because I want to bring the elders together to start sharing all their abilities. And something like this is about as it is exactly everything that Whispers from the Hearth is about. It is about the
Hmm.
elder voice, and the key is the word voice.
Yes, we have a bunch of templates, like 300 templates.
Wow.
And for elders,
Wow.
we have regeneration, we have telomeres, we have genetics. One that I just did today that I thought was absolutely fantastic. A guy had a hip that was really bothering him, and we went through it. They thought it was nerves, they thought it was arthritis, they thought it was aging. It was really gout. His
Wow.
body couldn't get rid of the gout. And by looking or hearing through the voice, through bioacoustics, we're able to listen to what the body's trying to tell us.
Um,
So we gave him the antidotes for the lactic acid, the gout problem, and the pain went away. And he was in excruciating pain. He couldn't even walk.
what a
So
beautiful story.
that's the kind of thing that we want everybody to have at their home. I'm hurting here. Computer, tell me
Hmm.
what's going on. Oh, okay, you need some biotin. It's available.
Mhm,
We forgot, and we're putting
Hmm.
it back together for people
mhm,
to make it automatic. So people can believe in themselves more. I think
Hmm.
it's horrible that here's a computer and it says something and you believe it. But if Kathy tells you, you might be skeptical.
mhm.
That's right.
Totally. So how does bioacoustic profiling allow you to individualize care in a way that traditional medicine often cannot?
Oh, great question. I think with traditional or conventional medicine, they put everybody in a pot. You have thyroid, that's your problem. But if we can do it individually, we can look, is this your thyroid stimulating hormone? Is it cortisol? What is really going on? We can see what's very individual. And I think that's our ace in the hole, that everybody is individual and their voice can show us that. And we can bring those frequencies to the forefront, give you a report and say, take this to your doctor and check it out. We've had a big plethora of people with thyroid issues recently,
Hmm.
and they just are not paying attention to T4. They're looking at T3, but they're
Mhm.
not combining the T4 with it. And your voice will show that.
And I had my thyroid removed back in 1973. And I know it was exposure to radiation because I ended up with the pigmentation all down the side of my body. Yeah. Yeah, and I hear that all the time about thyroid, that they're only dealing with the T3. So wow. So what happens when we move away from one size fits all treatments and into frequency-based personalization?
We create something called self health.
Yay.
And I envision
Hmm.
is that you go home and you say to your microphone or whatever, oh, blah, 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 I did this today and what's going on? And I feel great, but is something happening? And your computer says back, oh, I see you're short on vitamin A. Let's have some carrot soup.
Wow.
And that's close to what you do, Kathy.
I'm blown away. I'm just absolutely blown away. You are an answer, a big answer in my work
Well,
because
you're
I've stressed the food. And then today, just like I say out of my mouth, I said, go to your apartment and hum. Didn't
yeah,
know what I was going to tell her to hum.
we have an article out that says if you can moan, you can tone. So we teach people to hum till their teeth begin to vibrate,
Vibrate. Yeah.
and it vibrates all your face, and it becomes a whole body, and that's the sound that your body needs. If we can train people to do that, they don't need anything I have, but we do have free
Hmm.
courses, apprentice
Hmm.
courses, and right from there you can make reports for people. Then there's a technician course, and then there's a professional course for people who are training to help other people. And right now, the biggest one we're looking at is weight management.
Mm.
And a big breakthrough that has just come through is the middle of the body weight where cortisol is really stressed, and how to look at that. So we've done a free class about that, and we're helping people set up their own businesses and letting them use the computer program that will tell people what their weight management issues are.
Oh, that's
We've
wonderful.
written
Wonderful.
books
Very,
about it,
yeah.
and we're giving all that away.
And are you selling the software already?
We have a portal. We do have the software already written. We have a portal that people go sign up for, soundhealthportal.com, and it's a monthly use. So people can say, I want to test this person on weight management, and it'll give you options based on their vocal print that you can help them through this.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. See, Kathy, it's right up your alley. So
It
you
is amazing. Yes. Well, we know really and truly sound is the whole deal.
Mhm.
We know that. And so this is amazing.
Totally amazing. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
I would like to say frequency, vibration, and math is really,
Yeah.
we can go to those corners. I think we have a mathematical constitution. And to add to what you're saying, I think that if we look at vibration, that's the Rosetta Stone of healing
Mhm.
through frequency.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my whole concept. Just as Annie knows exactly what I also support.
And tell her what your website's called.
Yeah. My website is called It's All Voltage.
I thought
See, I told you were going to meet a kindred spirit.
I'm telling you, yeah.
So, Sherry, you've worked with institutions like the NIH, MIT, and the Mayo Clinic. How has your work been received in traditional scientific spaces?
okay, I need to twist that around a little bit. They are using my work.
Oh,
I'm not working
mm.
with them.
Okay, thank
Although
you.
when we come out with new stuff and I publish it, then you see it in their paperwork.
Wow.
I am so sorry I framed that the wrong way. That's a completely different story. Oh, that's horrible.
It was just
Maybe working in another dimension.
it's honoring to me that they picked up the work.
Yeah,
And
true.
there was a very recent article just came out from MIT, and somehow they were able to watch conception takes place, probably through an electron microscope or something. And they could see they could monitor the frequency of the sperm and the frequencies of the egg, and they were able to say out loud, there's a frequency to every organ and process in the body. And I've been saying that since 1982. We published our first paper. So they confirmed what I had been saying, but had not been able to prove. I just didn't have the money or the knowledge or the equipment to do something like that. So I'm very, very happy
True.
they're picking this up.
Because
And
it is
MIT,
reaching people. Yeah.
and MIT has something called Lincoln, I can't remember, they call it a center or but they are doing some of the same things that we're doing. And we've done stuff for the government. One of the things that they brought us in on is the government puts new recruits in a room and gasses them.
Ugh.
Sometimes it burns their throat and their
Oh,
lungs.
yeah, they do. My daughter went through that.
And so we found the frequency that will counteract that. And then they had us do a project about PTSD. And we've got all of that on the portal for people to test themselves against PTSD and traumatic brain injury. Because as we create these databases, then we share them with the public. People knew this long ago. They just didn't know how they knew.
Oh, I would believe that. When
And I
people
think,
were, yeah, less disrupted.
well, we've ruined ourselves with man-made electricity. Like I said I was born in Appalachia. We lived in a corn crib. We had no electricity. I think I was so lucky because my ears developed differently that I can hear things from people. And that's our ace in a hole. I'll tell you a story here. I can hear things from people that other people can't because my ears have mutated differently.
Cool.
I was at a conference in Colorado, and at that time I had to travel with a bodyguard because everybody just sort of glommed at me. And this lady was trying to get to me, and the bodyguard stopped her. She said, I have to talk to Sherry. And so I went to the bathroom, and this lady followed me in the stall.
Oh no.
And I said, oh, I have to do this by myself. I was being flippant, and she was standing right there when I came out the little door. She said, my baby's dying.
Oh.
They don't know why, but you need help. And so after my presentation, I went with her to the hospital, and there was this baby in this incubator, new baby, and she was the color of gray rubber. I had never seen a human that color. And just hear the information just comes through. I said, if I ever needed to know how to do this, just let this happen. And the sound just came through, and I did it, laid my hands on the incubator, and this baby started to pink up.
Oh.
So this is much more than being on the planet. This is being in a God space someplace, because it's much more than I've ever learned. I went into school and got a degree because I thought a degree would help me. I actually found college useless. I could have taught almost every course.
Wow.
So something gives me information. I don't know how. A story just drops into my head. Try this. Like the guy with the bad hip. It would never occur to me that it was uric acid. It was gout. And it just dropped in. Well, try this. And there it is. It may just be from everything I've done for the last 40 years, because we started in 82.
Wow.
But the information is just there. And that's what I want to share with people.
And the evolution of your frequency. I mean, the more that we, first of all, embody our frequency within our own being, because we're so empowered, and also just the level of healing that you've done, like you said, self-health within your own being. Obviously, we're going to flourish more and more and more, and step more into the capabilities that we are as beautiful creator beings. So it totally makes sense that kind of information. And Kathy gets that. I get that. All three of us, with the level of dedication and due diligence that all three of us have done on behalf of our own beings to get to where we are right now as lovely elders. So can the voice reveal imbalances before they become physical symptoms?
Oh, absolutely. Years. In working with sports teams, we can look at what muscle is going to go and help keep people off the bench. But I want to back up and tell you something ancient, I think, and then present you something very new. When Pythagoras was doing all of his studies about the movements of the planets and how he set up musical scales and mathematics of music, he did it based on the movements of the planets in our solar system. And then he thought everything was concentric. Then along came Kepler, and he said, no, all the rotations of the planets are elliptical. And he set up a different kind of frequency scale. But he said, when those planets move, our body hears it, not our ears, but our soul hears that frequency. And unless it matches the frequency of our body, then we get sick. And when we can match the music of the spheres, then we stay well. But I want to consider something else. There is a system in the body that I'm going to say magnetics, because I don't have a word for it. But I think there is a system in the body that's below nutrients, below nerves, below um, muscles. There's these different layers of frequency that our body responds to. And I think there is a layer in the fascia. And
Yes.
for people who, I think I could describe it this way. If you've ever cut up a chicken and that slimy kind of part right under the skin,
Mhm.
I think that's a system that has a magnetic potential. And I think that is how we relate to each other on that level. And I think that's empathy. I
Mhm.
think that's how we can touch into other people's thoughts. And if you look at the math of COVID, and I've been following pathogens for 10 years, COVID is not nature made. Mathematically, it's man made. And when you look at some of the frequencies, one of them is called VMAT. It's the God gene. It's what tells us that we are connected to each other. And one of the things that happens when people first came to us after getting COVID, they said, I feel disconnected to myself. I feel disconnected to my family. And I did research on that. And it is something called the VMAT gene. And there is a whole book written around it. It's called the God gene. And when we give people the frequencies back for that biochemical, they start to become attached again. It's much like giving somebody biochemically oxytocin, the chemical that makes you bind with your children when they're born. So I think we haven't got to all of the systems yet to help people, but we're working on it and we're sharing it as we get it with people. And that's why we want people to take our professional courses so they can teach it to other people, the training.
That absolutely makes so much sense for sure, for sure. And you started before we got to start the video and interview together, you were talking exactly about the God gene right now, how there's really a something going on that's taking that away from everybody.
Of
May
not
I add one of the things in my work? It seems like the radio waves, all of the waves of information around us from our technology, that's what it impacts the most is the fascia.
Yeah.
And that surprised me.
If you look at it, 2 to 4 cycles per second is bioelectric, 1 to 2 cycles per second is biomagnetic. And I think below that is another system, and it runs on that interstitium, that slimy sort of part,
Mhm.
and it's below 1. Now, people can't hear below 1, but we can trick the body into hearing below 1
Cool.
and turn back on the emotions of caring for your neighbor and loving people. And it's just amazing what's going on in the world right now with
Mhm.
all the hate.
Mhm.
Now, there was a thing on TV yesterday where these rioters, and they're New Jersey, I think,
Yes.
and they were so discombobulated in what they were doing that they burnt down the Red Cross tent. Now, what kind of logic is that? So we need to bring that logic back, bring back that caring for people. And so that's what we're trying to teach in our classes. And that's the software we want to give away. It's called Nano Voice. And I developed it as my senior project at Ohio University. And we give it away to people. We give away the software, we give away the textbooks, the instructions, the videos. So if they will go to our professional website, bioacousticsolutions.net, they can download that software or they can write to me and I will send them the software.
That's beautiful. Yay. So you've developed systems that can analyze the voice to detect imbalances. What kind of things can the human voice reveal that we might not consciously know? I mean, you're talking about the fascia already.
I'll put this one in terms of relationships. we have a computer program called the Perfect Mate,
Mm.
and it explains why you're attracted to a person, even though you might not supposed to be. It shows you that you are attracted by frequencies, just like people are attracted to colors or certain types of music. You can be attracted to someone because of their frequency. You have it missing, they need it, it's very compatible with you. And we think by using that particular um, computer program with people, they will do less settling to have a mate and find the mate that really matches with their sounds and their frequency.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And that's just one of the things that we want to do if we bring all these people together. Another issue about this is a lot of my work has been, I don't know what the word is, destroyed. No, not destroyed. Um, they've dampened it down. I give you one. 9/11, when all those buildings went down, and we had a lady who was one of our practitioners, and her uncle was an engineer in the hole, the 9/11 pit where everything went down and they cleaned it up. And so she went down into that pit and took her uncle's voice print, and we looked at it and we figured out the frequency for the fireman's cough. And I called the CDC, Center for Disease Control, and I said, this is what we have. We can help here with all these thousands of firemen who have the fireman's cough. We know how to take it away. And they said, we can't talk to you. You aren't FDA approved. And so 11 o'clock at night, I thought somebody had died or something. Somebody's calling me that late. And she said, I know about your meeting with the CDC. I can't identify myself, but I want to give you a phone number. And it was the head of the firemen's union. And she said, he will help you get this information to the firemen. And so we took a crew up there, and you could look right out the window and see the big hole. And they brought us 17 people who had the fireman's cough. And we were able to stop the fireman's cough. And they said, oh, we need you to see all 17,000 people. And I said, absolutely, I will train your people to do this. I don't have the staff, but I will certainly train your people to do it. And we were ecstatic. Another one we did was we helped take away a gallbladder attack for one of the guys that they brought us to work on. And I started looking at the math, and it was also going to cause early onset breast cancer. And you can watch the data that really did happen. So we've got invited to go there. And the next morning we went back to talk to them, and there was this whole room full of suits. And they said, yes, you can come back and do this, but you have to pay for it. I had to pay for the crew, I had to pay for the equipment, and it was more money than 10 years of my budget. And at that point, they were collecting all these donations, millions of dollars in donations. They could have afforded this. We went home disappointed because we just couldn't serve them. We didn't have the money or
Wow.
we didn't. So there's thousands of people who died excruciating deaths, and they wouldn't let it come out. And every year, 25th university is coming up, and we've tried every year to get this into the public information. We know the frequency, we know what it is, and we share it with people. We've written articles about it, and they would not allow this to be public information. And so at that point, I just decided this belongs to the public. I am not going through the FDA, although we tried, and they just said, this is not medical, go away. And I said, would you put that in paper? And they said, no. So all the things that we've done for restless legs and irregular hearts and macular degeneration and gout, all of that now, I have threatened them, all these other people working on this. I said, the more you keep this from the public, the more I'm giving it away. And so that's what we've been doing the last 5 or 6 years, giving all the information away, except the very top layers that we have to buy a lot of equipment for and pay people to do the teaching.
Bless
And
you.
we support ourselves with these upper layer um, classes.
Hmm.
Oh, and we for the month of May, we ran a special class so that if you're an organization like a doctor's office or something, we will allow you to take the class as a primary, but we will allow you another person to come in with you for free. So it's like 2 for 1 in the
Oh,
organization, because we think 2 people can learn it easier together than just one person. So we're going to extend that to June, and we're going to accept 5 more sets of people to take these classes, as we just call it a 2-for-1 campaign, 2 for 1. So you can see that on our website, or just email me and ask me for information. I'll send you our catalog, the information. I just wrote a new book, but there's a pre-book I'll send you for free. The new book I wrote came out January 2nd.
congratulations. That's today, right? Yes.
No, this is
Oh, January 2nd. I'm June 2nd, sorry.
And it's called Breaking the Sound Barriers of Disease. I love that title. It
I
was
do
given
too.
yes.
and it's because so many people are out there claiming this is theirs and they did it. I had to write the book just to lay claim for what was going on.
We will get that book out there. So you mentioned
Oh my goodness.
tools that can detect truth. Can you share more about how sound interacts with authenticity and deception in the body?
When you look at the invoice and it's 12 notes across and 6 notes wide, you look at that screen, and that screen needs to be balanced. And you can tell by the balance or unbalance who's telling the truth, who's leaving out pieces of truth. For instance, we did Trump's voice right after he was shot in the ear, and his voice at that point had lots of omnipotence in it. So him living through that, being shot in the ear, really gave him a lot of courage or oomph to keep going.
Wow.
And way before Mandami ever took over New York, we predicted he's promising way more than he can deliver, and he's going to be impeached. Everything we've said has come true. So people can look at the vocal print and see who's lying to them. The most honest person we've ever found is Ron Paul.
Oh, wow.
Yay!
That's fascinating. Yay. Well, what happened to him? Where is Ron Paul these days?
He's still writing. He still wants the feds to be balanced.
Mhm.
He writes an article about once a week and sends it over.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we
I
also,
have to,
what?
I just want to say I had such a big sign for Ron Paul in front of my house. They thought I was campaign headquarters.
When he ran in 2008, I voted for him, and it went across the
Hmm.
screen. I caught the screen. I have that up on my wall, that Sherry Edwards donated money to Ron Paul's campaign.
Oh, yes.
Yay, that's neat that you have it on your wall.
I think so many people are polluted that Ron Paul would have probably been killed because he wanted
Especially then.
honesty, and it just was not there. He was telling the truth when he said in front of Congress has passed a law that says we can kill anybody we want. And I wrote an article about
Wow.
that. And we're going to start a column called Be in the Know. And we are going to put up what people are really thinking. And that's the program we're giving away. Like right now, I would really like to know what Trump is thinking,
Mhm.
because he just seems scrambled to me. So I can look at his voice and see what his plans are and what's
That'll
really
be
going on.
fabulous. Fabulous.
I'm
So
going
What happens physiologically when someone speaks something that is not true for them?
Okay, there is in the Bible, um, oh, I forgot the verse. It's also in the second coming of Christ, and it's an article. I wish I should pull it up so I can see it. It's Luke 6:15. See if I can find it because it says it so much clearer than I can say it. But it says that from your heart, the frequencies come out your mouth so that you can tell who is real and what is really going on. But I want to find it if you'll give me a second here.
Take your time. Yes. It feels like it's going to be valuable.
My computer is not cooperating.
It'll come forward. Trusty computer.
Ah, here it is coming up. No, it isn't coming up. It's something totally different. Now it's gonna, oh, here it is. We have a whole PowerPoint about this that's available on Vimeo under my name. And it says, a bad man may imitate the voice of a good person, but the evil in his heart will certainly vibrate in his pretending voice. Now, that's about Luke 6:45. And that's the exact quote from the second coming of Christ. Luke in the Bible says it a little differently, but it says the same thing.
Totally makes sense. For sure. So
You know,
you've used sound frequencies to support people with conditions like migraines, PTSD, and even cancer. What is happening in the body during this kind of healing?
we are entraining the brain to do what it ought to have done in the first place. I'll give you an example. We had a nurse come to us and she had ulcers, and it wasn't ulcers, it was migraines, and the medication they gave her caused ulcers.
Wow.
And from there, we were able to look at what they were doing to her, and it was really a muscle in her neck. The body pointed to that muscle, and once we gave her the frequencies to release that muscle, the migraines went away. And they had tried all this medication and caused her ulcers and caused all kinds of problems. So we can go beyond what conventional medicine is showing. We can go to root cause. We can listen to the body through the voice and get a lot of accurate information about what is going on to the body.
That's fabulous. So can you walk us through what a session or experience with your technology looks like?
We can, and we can also send that out to people, or they can go to our bioacousticsolutions.net, and there's videos on there showing
Okay.
how this happens. So somebody applies to us to be a client. Like right now, we're working on weight management and arthritis. And if we accept them as a client, we ask them for 2 vocal prints. We look at the vocal prints. I decide what's happening. What is the computer trying to say to us? Then I have a consultation with the person. And I'm debating whether to tell you about one we just did, which I think is incredible. And we decide what to do. So I had this lady named Amy, who was also a doctor, and we got her a vocal print, and it went every which direction. It went into clotting and fatigue and Lyme disease and fibromyalgia. And every place I went, it didn't give me a big enough answer. I have to have an answer with a score above 20 or I don't believe it. And so finally, I worked on her chart for almost a week. And finally, I just decided to send it to her. And I thought either this is true or I'm totally on the wrong case. And she got back to me about 3 weeks later. I thought, she was so disappointed she just didn't get back to me. But when she got back to me, she said, "You told me there was Lyme. I had no idea there was Lyme." Her score on Lyme was 32. It's one of the biggest scores I've ever seen on Lyme.
Wow.
She said, "I had myself tested. I do have titers for Lyme. You said I had blood clotting issues. It's there. You said this, it's there." And she said, "This is phenomenal. This is the new medicine, even though you can't call it that. This is the way that people are going to be able to explore what's happening in their body without blood tests, without CAT scans, without surgery. This is the medicine of the future." And that's why I want to spread it around and teach people to do this. Because I know if somebody sees money, 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 they're going to jump on it and try to stop it from being available to the people.
For sure. So you've said we can break the sound barriers of disease. What does that mean in practical and scientific terms?
If you have an irregular heart, we already know a lot of this. We know the frequencies that'll put your heart back into a rhythm. So that answers the question
A
of,
biggie.
there it is. This is what we can do with it. I especially like to do a project with babies. The first cries of the baby, I think if we got a recording of that, we could really tell what is going to happen to that baby.
Oh, I totally concur. Totally. And I can see the babies being in, what's the word? Equanimity, like right in alignment with that because they're coming out so purely. I can see them being right on board for something like that. So, yeah. So,
I'd like to jump a
go
little bit
ahead.
sideways and answer something else. Astrology, where modern medicine's been laughing at it for years. We had a baby come in and she was having seizures, and seizures to the point where her head would bend back and she would touch her butt. And when we
Wow.
looked at the mother and the father's frequencies together, the frequency that two people created was the frequency of seizures, epilepsy.
Wow.
And she had a grandfather that they were born like a day apart. And when she was having those really bad seizures, you could put this baby in this grandfather's arms and the seizures would stop.
Wow.
There is something going on with genetics that is a frequency that we haven't even touched yet. But in some ways, astrology and all of their number fields have touched on it. We just haven't broken the code yet.
Wow. Kathy, do you have any questions?
I'm just thrilled that you've come into my sphere. I wasn't familiar with your work, and I'm very excited to go to that site and start learning.
Me too, me too. I want to start doing it.
Yeah. When you
So
teach your courses where you buy, do one and do with a friend, is that a Zoom course?
Yes, and we
Maybe Annie, you
schedule
and
it.
I could
I
do it.
know, I think we ought to too, Kathy. I mean,
Yeah,
we got to trust that we were led to this.
very much so.
It's too right on. So why is sound such a powerful modality compared to more traditional approaches to healing, do you think?
Because I think sound affects everybody, but some people want color, some people want music, some people want CAT scans. It's how you receive your information. And I think frequency is consistent with everybody.
Mhm. Mhm.
As a simple answer,
A common denominator,
yes, very good.
but individualized, which is so great because it's a signature. So a big part of your mission is self-health. Why is it so important for individuals to take healing into their own hands right now?
Because I think there's a lot of bad diagnosis. There are a lot of people dying because of medication. I hear it all the time. Are they just won't pay attention. You go in with these symptoms, these symptoms, these symptoms. And I'll give an example in a second. and they just don't pay any attention. And weight management is a big one. That's why we took that on. I was trying to think of an example, and I had it in my head, and now it's gone. Going in, I went to the doctor because I felt like in symptoms and in my vocal print, I had a urinary tract infection. And I went to a doctor that deals with that, and he said, "There's nothing wrong with you." They took a sample and they dipped a little stick in it, and they said, "You don't have anything. There's nothing wrong with you." I said, "There's something wrong. I'm having really bad bladder cramps." And they said, "Well, you'll just have to live with it." So I went to another doctor that I trusted and knew. She took a test, and I had a strep infection in my urinary tract.
Wow. Because we've seen in our elder age group, we've been Kathy and I both have witnessed people that are the UTIs are up in number.
Yes.
I mean, I attributed it to some of it to the black fog that was out there because it was so like where I am after Helene. There was a point at which it was out for 5 days straight. And what was in that fog, heaven only knows. But UTIs, I mean, it's like there's no logic for us to all of a sudden get UTIs, right?
Right.
And there's so much that they're just not paying attention to.
Yeah.
This was a Christmas Eve, and my throat would closing up. I could not breathe.
Ooh,
And it
ooh.
sort of made me scared because I knew on Christmas probably nobody's going to be open. So I went to the not emergency room, it's urgent call, and they said, "There's nothing wrong with you." And they said, "You're having an allergic reaction." And they gave me prednisone. And there again, I had strep throat. They let it go. The strep went to my heart and damaged one of the parts of my heart, and I had to fix that with sound. So even in my case, it's just misdiagnosis. I don't know if there's a lot of good doctors. I don't want to say they're
I
bad.
agree. But
But the older ones, the older ones, I think are the better doctors.
oh, for sure, that different form of value system and ethics. When my husband was going through cancer, we really did everything alternative till we hit a point where we wanted to find out more. And it was like going to a used car salesman when we went to the doctors. I just felt like all they were doing was getting tests done so they could make a commission on I could see it in their body language. They'd like light up when you said yes to some kind of a test or an MRI or something like that. It was just real eerie to be a part of what I was witnessing there, and I didn't at all feel comfortable with there.
We just had one of our practitioners come down with, I shouldn't say it that way, but she had liver cancer. And we started digging and looking at what would help that. And we found something in olive oil and starts with an O, and I can't remember it. I've got too much pile on my desk still looking for it. But I will send it to you if you want to
Yes.
test people for it, or if you want to have us come back and talk about some of these case studies. We've even written a book about our case studies that we will share with people. But in a petri dish, they put cancer cells, and this one aspect of olive oil went through the protective layer of the cancer cell and killed the cell. So
Fascinating.
we want to try that out with some of our cancer people.
Well,
For our portal, people volunteer their vocal print. So we want to do a project. We pull out 10 people who have cancer and we look at what's alike in their vocal print. And that's how we've been able to break the codes of what these frequencies really mean.
the energy worker that I went to today got to go down to Florida for an alternative method for cancer. I think it was more like a thermal, like a high heat. And what this person said, and he definitely brought in a lot of what you're talking about, the kind of the God code and light, the light we carry in our bodies. But he said there is in the lab work that's done, there's a missing lab test that is done that is a certain marker that when people have this, they are more prone to cancer. And the reason that they have thwarted doing this test is because they didn't know where to go next once they figured out about that marker. So they just thwarted any kind of future work to support people in Western medicine, of course. But and this person wasn't able to continue with what she was doing because she had anemia, which I know my husband had anemia a couple different times with his cancer. So, that was a part of it too. So if someone could begin listening to their own body in a new way, what would you want them to pay attention to?
Their reactions. Do they feel better or worse? Do they have more energy, less energy? How is it coming into their body and improving their quality of life?
Mhm.
Whoever controls health controls your quality of life.
Mhm.
And that's why we want to
Mhm.
spread this information. We just did a project on prostate and breast cancer because they have some commonalities. And it is the receptors. Males who have prostate cancer have too many female estrogen
Oh,
receptors,
that totally fits my husband.
and they're not paying attention to those receptors. They get man boobs, they get
Oh,
fat where they shouldn't. And the same thing with women. They have too many testosterone receptors, and that's not being paid attention to. And I write articles for Masters of Health magazine, and I'm going to start putting all of this out there. I was scared at first. I didn't want to go to jail for doing this, and
this
so I was
reason,
sort of
right.
reluctant to jump out there.
Mhm.
But then people started stealing it, and I thought, well, thank you, God.
Mhm.
If they don't go to jail for stealing it, then maybe I'll come out and give out the real information.
I totally understand your reticence. So you offer the free classes and software. What inspired you to make this work so accessible?
Um, I'm 80 years old, and I didn't want it to die. Well, I'm not quite 80, but next year,
What's the month that you're going to turn 80?
June.
Oh, okay. So you just turned 79. So cool. Okay. So are you a Gemini?
Right there on the cusp.
Wouldn't you know it that you'd be balancing between both? That's precious. So if someone is just beginning their journey with sound healing, what is one simple practice they can start today?
Wow. Listening to their own sounds in their own ears. And there's an article called If You Can Moan, You Can Tone. And it teaches you how to listen to your own God sound. And it's very easy, very simple. We wrote the article probably 20 years ago. And it just takes you into an outer space. And this is kind of spooky, but I need a warning here. When you start listening to your own sounds, you sort of astral out. You can't feel your body. Um, and whatever your fear is, if it's a 6 foot, if it's a spider, you're going to run into a 6 foot spider and just confront that fear. Say, here, take a bite. I'm going on. So it puts you in an altered state, and pay attention to that. And it's so many layers above this concrete physical world. It's where you get creativity and answers. And I think we could slip into that easily in ancient times, but with so much bustle going on right now, we don't get there very often.
Well, I kind of think we might get into it if we slow things down and the world stops for a couple days where people tap into that again. I mean, I saw such a difference going through Helene because I'm right in Asheville, and it was there was a beauty at the same time of the horror, and it was on AM radio where people came together, and especially a lot of the Appalachians, and exactly what you're describing. Like I think what bringing me kind of a sustenance and a safety was the Appalachian voice and the Appalachians that are so used to, like you described with your childhood, they have lived out in nature all their lives, and they don't have the same draw to um, the tech world and everything out there. And there was such I don't know, I want to call it a courage and a resilience and restitution within them that just was absolutely remarkable to witness. I mean, I think it was right in line with exactly what I'm about here with the elder voice and getting all of us out there, because there's so many good stories that we have to offer that when we combine it, just like my mosaics behind me, and bring together all those different pieces, it is gonna come together more in a wholesome way. And I think we're gonna witness something that we can't even measure in any way except to describe it as a miracle, that all of us as elders are here together, that we can come together like you're describing already with the work you're doing, and it's going to be magical as far as I'm concerned. And maybe it is part of the decades and passages that we have witnessed as voices.
Well, let's look at some other piece. How important is the truth?
Mm.
Where does that stand today? How many people are lying? What would happen if everyone told the truth? What kind of world would we have? Chaos in the beginning, but eventually it might straighten itself up and we'd have a more authentic world. It wouldn't be dog eat dog. Money and greed are the most important things. It would be community and caring and trusting are the most important parts of what's going on. And the little nano voice that we give people, and we've been giving it away for 30 years, you can talk to it and say, okay, I'm thinking about taking this job and I feel this way about it and whatever. It doesn't keep your words, but it'll keep the balance and the frequencies, the sounds, and it'll show you what balances you and what doesn't. And it doesn't keep your words, but you can see what would be the best for you for the balance in your life. The same with a new partner or a new job, or even if I'm feeling this way and I don't know why, with this little program, it can show you the balance in your life. I had somebody say to me, if it's free, what good is it?
Oh, our
I
world.
worked on it program for a year, putting it together and testing it. We tested it with over 6,000 people, but it'll say, okay, you're really interested in justice or you're really interested in helping other people. It puts communication into categories. Is this a descriptive sort of thing? Are you evaluative? How do you really think? What's the best person to be with you? It's a deceptively simple way to find out what's real for you. A lot of people don't even know what's real for them. They've been listening to other people so much of their lives that they're confused about who they really are.
Well, and they're not in their bodies at all. I mean, when I see them, they're standing right outside their body. Well, this is so cute because I put on essential oils a lot, and today it's been years. I got the essential oil I was drawn to was called Balance.
Oh, wow. Well,
So it fits what you're talking about.
oil is frequency, sound is frequency, color is frequency, aroma is frequency. It's all comes down to frequency that can be measured as math, and math is consistent. One and one is always two. And when you go back and look at the solfeggio numbers and those numbers, you can look at root cause and what your goals should be. We have a program that allows you to test your frequency against the solfeggio numbers. And what's the other one?
Have you ever done Grab-A-Boy?
No, I don't know what that is.
That's who Kathy's the one
Yeah,
who
Grabovoi is a Russian scientist who is still living. And you can go to healingnumbers.org and get a bunch of his numbers. He's done amazing work.
I think is it Healing Numbers or Healing Numbers Info? Is info on in that?
It might be info. I'm so used to putting in the
I
first part and
know.
it all comes up.
I know, because it comes up for us. I think it's Healing Info.
Healingnumbersinfo.com,
Yeah,
perhaps.
something like that. But he's
Yeah.
Russian, and he got put in prison.
Yes.
They shut him down gosh, how long ago? 20 years ago or
Oh,
something?
I don't, yeah. He was known even for there would be satellites that were having trouble, and he could send his frequency information in the form of those numbers.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's once you get exposed to it, Sherry, it's pretty fascinating. So do you believe voice print diagnostics could become a standard tool in future healthcare systems? Do you see that?
I think if somebody had paid attention to what we've been doing all along, it would be part of medicine right now. Take your temperature, take your blood pressure, take your voice
Mhm.
when you go to the doctor.
So you've spoken about the potential of sound therapy for space travel. What role could frequency play in supporting humans beyond Earth? Is that too big a question?
Because one, you wouldn't have to take all this globs of medication. You could
Mhm.
just give the medication by frequency, and you could do
Hmm.
the diagnostics by frequency. Um, and you just wouldn't have to have such a big part of the rocket filled with medical equipment.
Mhm. Totally. How do you see sound healing evolving globally over the next 10 to 20 years? Do you get pictures about that?
I see a lot of this coming from other countries right now. We have
Mhm.
doctors from other countries taking our courses.
Yay.
So it is spreading. It's just not spreading as quickly in the United States because people are fearful. Look at what they did with the COVID doctors. They put them in jail for
Hmm.
telling the truth.
Yes.
And so I
Yes.
just need to find a way to make this safe for people. So my degrees are in education. So I treat every interaction as an educational experience. So people can do it that way. And when we teach doctors to do this technique, we teach it to them as an education for their clients so they don't get in trouble. But if
It's,
somebody decides that there's going to be money made, they're going to fight to keep this out of the
oh,
medical
for
community.
sure.
Hmm.
Sure.
Hmm.
So how close are we to seeing this level of personalization become widely acceptable?
Wow. I wish I knew the answer to that. And that's why we put up the free Sound Health portal for people to test their own voice and what's going on. That's why we do demonstrations. That's why I teach this to groups. That's why I travel around the world. Well, not so much anymore. But I did a group of doctors at, I can't even think, Georgetown, and they loved what was going on. I did a big group, over 800 people at a time in England at a conference. So we're trying to train trainers that can go out and travel. Because I've been traveling all over the world. I'm just tired of it. I'd
Yes.
like to stay home with my family and my grandkids, my great great grandkids, and I've been giving up a lot of that to get this out to the public, and I just want to stay home for a bit. I'll still work. I'll still see clients, um, and give out information and write articles, but I'm just tired of traveling the
With
world.
reason, and I think we want to honor the fact that there are a lot of people that will take on the baton. There,
Hmm.
I mean, at least the arena that I'm in, or maybe the frequency that I'm drawing to me of absolutely lovely human beings that are so dedicated to healing as Kathy has been in my life. Because Kathy and I met at a color therapy conference thing in Florida together. I think the baton will be taken, and I will certainly do my very best, as will Kathy, to get this out there in a
Hmm.
bigger
Hmm.
fashion because it supports everything that I'm about with the elders. Is it possible that the body already knows how to heal and we're simply learning how to listen?
Absolutely. That's why we say bioacoustics is what allows us to listen to the body.
Mhm.
And I just thought about the question you just asked me. I think the TSA is what keeps me from traveling. I got so tired
Hmm.
of being examined and poked and prodded at airports. I just decided I'm not traveling anymore. We'll put this all online. We'll reach more people. We'll get it all recorded so that everybody can have access to it and just go from there.
And I'm sorry that you had to witness that and go through that, especially as important as sound is. What is the connection between sound consciousness and the body's innate intelligence?
I think it's all one thing. And if we get aligned and get in tune, we can explore it further, better, larger.
Have you witnessed moments where sound created what felt like a miracle in someone's healing journey?
Oh, good grief, yes.
Tons.
Tons of them. That little baby that turned
Oh,
pink from being gray,
Yeah.
that was a big one for me. And my own daughter not bleeding to death.
yes.
And then I had a son who had a motorcycle accident. I was on my way to a conference and I walked in the front door and some lady approached me and she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry about your son." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Oh, nobody's told you?" So I tried to call home. Nobody would answer the phone. I started calling the hospitals.
Oh, no.
Finally found him at a hospital and the nurse said, "Well, I can tell you who'll probably live." And so as soon as I got done with this conference, I flew home. I went to the hospital. I'd listened to his sounds. He was on a pump where every 12 minutes he was hitting this button. He'd crushed his legs in a motorcycle accident. And I got the sounds from his talking about his pain, and I gave him the sounds back. And this is all written up. He was able to go over an hour without pushing that 12
Yeah.
minute button for his morphine. We were able to discover what will heal broken bones,
Wow.
what will reconstruct his
Wow.
bones. And I think God sent me these people who had these accidents so I could work on them and learn things. We've learned so much about nerves from his case and my daughter's case of ripping her leg off. Um, but it's a lot of it is nerve first, and we have an octave for nerves. Heal from the nerves up to the muscles, to the bones. But I have learned so much from each of these cases. My whole family has suffered.
Hmm.
One doing without me, and three going through all this pain and stuff, um, and being a guinea pig.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. What a collective family.
We
Um,
have an ace in a hole, and I'll tell you about this. My husband worked for the telephone company, and he carried big, heavy equipment, and he herniated a stomach muscle, and it wouldn't heal, and it wouldn't heal, and it wouldn't heal, and I didn't have time to deal with it. And see, he said, "This is really getting bad. Can you do something?" So I touched it, and I got the frequencies from me touching it, and it was 1499. That was the frequency that his body needed to heal that. And then later we got on the computer, and the computer said it's 1500 was that muscle frequencies, and it healed in 3 days with the
wow.
frequencies. So our ace in a hole has always been my ears, my mutated ears, allowed us to go in and be able to find things that conventional medicine couldn't find easily. There's a trauma, a cut, I touch it, I hear it, we give back the frequencies,
Um,
and the body heals itself.
I love that kind of wholesome, completing the circle of giving and receiving that you're doing with the wounds. That's just fabulous. I mean, it really is the cycle of giving and receiving, and the bodies can do it with its own being. So, do you believe every person has a signature frequency of health?
I have met people who don't want to get well. They have some kind of secondary gain from staying sick.
Yes, yes.
And it also creates a problem. If we help extend life, what's going to happen to the population? Um, are we going to be able to look into other dimensions about where the being goes after the body's over? Telephones. Telephones used to be one line, one wire, And then they got fiber optics. They could change the frequencies and carry thousands of voices on one wire. I think a lot of the information and frequency comes from different dimensions.
Oh,
And
totally.
we're in the dimensions of a corporeal body, but there's so much more. There's creativity, there's just being alive and having energy. You know, where is energy in the body? And I think there are other dimensions that we can walk through. As a matter of fact, I've accidentally tripped into some of them with some of the frequencies. So I know that domain is there. And I think because what I know and what I experience is so much than what I've ever learned, I think the information that I'm sharing with people are coming from other dimensions, like a God place. People
And
may,
and back to my mosaics. I mean,
yeah,
we are our own mosaics. So we have all those other aspects of ourselves that are so ready to come online. Like it is happening. I met my husband through 15th dimensional physics called Keylontic science. Gosh, back in the 90s. And it really is speaking to what you're talking about exactly here. And I do think like I just think it's happening. I'm seeing it with the children. I'm seeing it with the young kids coming right out of college. There's just a new um opening that way dimensionally, I believe, that's happening all around us. So for those who are skeptical of sound healing, what would you say to bridge the gap between doubt and curiosity?
experience, but I want to say something based on what you just said. Space and form also has frequency. That's where you get the mandalas and I can walk into a room and hear the sound of the room. Round rooms are the note of C. And if I can hit the note, and I've been tested in all kinds of labs, if I can hit the note that's in that room, it will sing back to me.
I love it.
So my ears are mutated, and I think this is a step to a next dimension of what we want to do.
And how
Mhm.
joyful for all of us to really be in tune in that way with everything that's around us, every single thing that has a piece of furniture, everything that has a frequency. And just think about, like I guess I feel like I can't even tell you how much better I feel having had this conversation and what's come up from a frequency perspective between all of us. Like I'm a different person than I was when I started this interview.
Wow.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean,
But
Mhm.
sometimes the talent is detrimental. Like you're so open, you can hear what people are thinking,
Mhm.
but you have to be tough enough to understand where they're coming from and not be insulted.
And have
Mhm.
and still have compassion. I was just speaking to that today with my energy worker. It's like no matter what, because all of us have a story that has made our mosaic, and all of us have aspects that are still healing and still coming together that are our greatest gatekeepers and protector parts that want to keep us, those most wounded parts of ourselves, safe. So, what are some misconceptions people have about frequency-based healing?
I would like to answer a different question.
You're so cute. Go ahead.
um, and it's going to probably open a can of worms. What if you're perfectly happy here and you go to a party and you meet somebody that has your missing note and you want to be in their energy
Mhm.
and you want to be with them because they complete you? Um, but society says, you're married to this person, don't be doing that.
Mhm.
And people confuse loving with sex and it gets all messed up. But I think if we understood that we are drawn to experiences and people that complete us and make us whole, and I think if people could understand that, they would be less hurt by relationships
Mhm.
that were over or had expended themselves. And there'd be a lot better understanding of what our relationships are. I'm not giving people permission to go out and have affairs, but it certainly um, answers why that happens, why we're so drawn to other people. Now ask that question.
Let me get that back up.
That was so on my mind because look at all of the failed relationships. And if we could be with other people that fulfilled us and filled our needs and took us all back to wholeness, which to me is white light, um, then I think
I can definitely identify with exactly what you're saying. I've had both of my children have completely walked out of my life, and it's been crushing. And yet what I found myself saying was it just means I just can't go in that concrete of a definition. And that yet there have been others that have walked in my life that have filled in their positions. And I've also can absolutely agree with what you're saying about different energies that I come across that I feel that chemistry and that connection because of the frequency.
I have to add this, and we've done a study on this. The teenagers in a home where they're not getting along, they build up an inordinate amount of one of the parents' frequencies so they can't
Ah,
stand. So it's biological that those frequencies build up to move that kid out of the nest.
mhm.
So it's a biological function, and we manifest it as emotional stress.
Right. And then give it judgments and things like that when there's really such a greater, bigger picture to the whole scenario of why it's happening. And even why we've created it as creator beings. Why have we drawn that to ourselves in this moment at this time? You know, what's the bigger picture here? And it's tough sometimes when you're in this material dense world to not get into the stress of it and instead of staying open and willing to see what the bigger picture is. Okay, so the question was, what are some misconceptions people have about frequency-based healing?
That it cures all immediately and does it all.
Mhm.
Just I turned the phone off. I only turned it off for an hour. But misconceptions that sound can do it everything all the time. Um, I use this example a lot. If you call me over to your barn and your foot is hurting and there's a horse standing on your foot, I can give you a frequency for the pain, but until you get the horse off your foot, it's not going to quit. So
Mhm.
it's not a big all instant. There's some things that you need to be cooperative with at the same time.
And the impediments, like you said, there are some people that don't want to heal. They don't want it. And there's something that they're getting to benefit them in the moment that they want. So I can see where some of the impediments are just the willingness of the own human and where they are in their healing process. And some don't need it, you know?
Yeah, and when people are bringing in a new paradigm, it's up to that person to make space for it to be accepted and to show what it really can do. And that I've been that spear point. What can this really do? What can we really share? And getting people to accept it. Like the woman that says, "You're not in the Bible. I can't listen to you." And I went looking and found it in the Bible. Okay, here it is. I couldn't say to her, "Penicillin's not in the Bible. You still use it." But I found the passage that really said, "Your voice speaks what's truth for you."
Ooh, I love it.
And there's been people who, if it's any good, you'll train me for free. You'll give me the equipment. I've had a very famous guy said, "If you wanted my wife to get well, you'd do this for her for free." And I said, "If you wanted her to get well, you'd pay me for my time to do it." But we just need to make a space where this is okay. It's safe. It's good. It's protected. And the responsibility to bring this into the world um, shouldn't be put on one person. And that's why I'm training other people so
Yeah.
it can go on.
So how do we ensure discernment as these technologies become more widely available?
Because we can jump on the computer and talk about it and see whether that's the
Mhm.
right direction. And it'll tell us, it'll show this shows balance. It's like having a song with a sour note. You can
Uh-huh.
recognize that sour note. And so we're training people to recognize the sour note and to put back the right one.
I love that. I love that. So what is the most important thing you want humanity to understand about sound and healing right now?
That they have a choice. And I want to provide the tools for that choice. Whoever controls health controls your quality of life, and I want it to be the person individually. But there's people who don't want to do that work, so there has to be groups that'll do it for them. I just want the work to go on, and I want it to go on with integrity without money being the utmost.
Bless you. Bless you, bless you, bless you for that. So we're going to go ahead and come to our close here, which I'm really sad about because this has been so beyond anything I can even fathom. And feel very blessed that it showed up in my life for today. I can speak for my own self and everything that I'm walking through. And this was a very much of a God moment as far as I'm concerned. Kathy, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I would have to say I feel the same way.
Mhm.
This has been amazing, and you're brilliant. I'm just so impressed, and I can't wait to learn more.
I feel like that's just coming through me, and I'm just the radio to deliver it to the people.
And what a golden glowing conduit you are.
Yes.
And
You know,
and the willingness. Go ahead, Kathy.
I just wanted to mention in the Bible, it says in the beginning, the earth was created with sound.
I believe it, and I believe
Yeah.
that how we heal ourselves, we do it with frequency, and then
Yes.
the physical manifests from there.
Love it. So thank you for listening
Mm.
to Sherry's wonderful elder essence. Yes. Understand what she offers is a bridge between science, frequency, healing, and human evolution. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. And a big moan.
This has been awesome. Thank you.
I'm so grateful, and we would definitely love to have you on again. And Kathy and I will be joining together. I already know
Yes.
this was just a one more calling that's right on target and a
Oh
divine
my
alignment
goodness,
for
yes.
Kathy and I. And I feel very blessed that we will also be able to bring it through Whispers from the Hearth to the elder population. So thank you. Thank you, Sherry. And I wish you all
Yes.
the best and that you get to enjoy your family at home and that this continues to blossom and flourish in the way that it deserves. I have good vibes about it, though. I feel like there's no
Oh
ifs
yeah.
about it, that we are at the right moment in time and timing that this is going to turn on a lot of lights as well as the sound. So bless you. And thank you, Sherry.
Mm.
I
Thank
asked
you.
for people to come and help share, so thank you for
You're
doing that.
welcome. You're welcome. All right, we'll go ahead and turn this up here.